There are many elements to making the perfect mix, but without question, the most important element to have under your belt is EQ. In the tracking stage, it's getting the right source material, which is also EQ. But what if there were certain frequencies to watch out for every time you opened a session? Of course, every song is different, but wouldn't it make your life a little easier if you already knew what to look for, and probably a better mixer because you'd get more familiar with these frequencies over time? By the end of this video, you will not only know which frequencies are most likely ruining your mixes, but you'll know why. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and sometimes I go back to my old mixes and realize how very simple EQ moves would have improved the entire balance. But it's just something that I learned over time. And I would sometimes ask people for crits, but them telling me what the problem was versus being able to show me didn't really give me the results I want. I was lost, not making progress, and had to start going by trial and error. I'm gonna try and prevent you guys from having to go through the same trouble, at least a little bit. I'm sure most of us here are recording in 44,000 kilohertz, so which frequencies are causing our issues out of the 44,000? Speaking of 44,000, I'd love to hit that number by the end of this month, so please make sure to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and leave a like on the video if that transition caught you off guard. I thought it was pretty crazy. Frequency number 1. 700 hertz. This is possibly one of the most annoying frequencies that I deal with. If I were going to describe it, it's very reminiscent of that sonar blip you would hear on a submarine. One of the most annoying places you'll hear this is in a snare drum. I've heard many a drum mix ruined by this. Check it out. Now, does that or does that not remind you of that sonar sound from a sub? Subscribe by hitting that red button, transition game level up. I don't know what it is, but I really notice this frequency the most when I'm dealing with condenser mics. Whenever I'm using a condenser on snare or especially vocals. On vocals, this frequency can become really cloudy, especially on my voice, and I'm gonna show you guys that right now.
I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew. I had a dream. Me and you, we could start anew. I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew. I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew.
See how much clearer that got after removing 700 hertz? And depending on what the source material is, this sound can happen anywhere from 500 to 700 hertz. It's annoying and you can't unhear it. So if you like boosting 700 for some ring, just make sure that your sonar works. Get the reference? I'm on fire today. Frequency number 2. You guys should know that I have to bring this one up. 4K. Joey popularized the realization that this was a problem frequency because it was extremely ear fatiguing. But remember how I said I wouldn't just be telling you which frequencies? I'll tell you why it bothers us. Our ear canals are specifically designed to be sensitive to 2,000 to 4,000 kilohertz because it's prominent area for speech and vocal intelligibility. But it can also cause us to be extremely sensitive to sounds. Think of the most annoying sound in the world. Here's one. Nails on a chalkboard. I'm sorry, but you have to listen to this. Notice how that hovers right around 4,000 kilohertz. Now let's listen to 4K on guitars, which is what Joey had originally made famous. Even though the example stopped, can't you still hear it? Do you see how much smoother that sounded with a simple change? Now remember that vocal that had a problem with 700 hertz? There was also something going on in the 4K area. These frequencies can pop up in different sources all over the song and they start stacking and becoming fatiguing. Listen to this.
I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew. I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew. I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew. I had a dream we could change the world. If it was me and you, we could start anew.
You see what I mean? The vocal got a lot smoother and less shrill, which is important when you're dealing with high-pitched vocals like I was doing in that song. Most of the time, we hate 4K, unless it's in the snare and one of the best breakdowns of the year. Number 3, and this can be the most dangerous one, ghost frequencies. There are certain sub-frequencies that you can feel, but you don't hear. The human ear doesn't even have the capability to hear these frequencies. That probably has something to do with the fact that our eyeballs vibrate at the frequency, so we have an internal crossover. But hold on, if you can't hear something, how can you fix it? Well, there are a couple options. You can roll off everything under 20 hertz and just hope that things are okay, which surprisingly a lot of people do and get away with. Or you can get a sub pack so you can feel those frequencies and tighten up your low end. It's kind of impossible to show you an example of this because you wouldn't hear it. But you know which frequency you can hear? Number 4, 300 to 400 hertz. This frequency is pure mud. It's terrible. It sounds like your source was recorded in a cardboard box. The first place I go to cut this frequency is toms, kicks, drums in general, but especially bass. If you split your bass, make sure your cutoffs get rid of 300 hertz. Listen closely. Do you see how nasty that was? It ruined all the clarity of the low end coming out of the guitar. But let's listen to some palm mutes of the guitar from a different section with Tone Forge Jeff Loomis. Pay attention to the area with the bloom coming from the dynamic compressor. You feel me? Not paying attention to this area can ruin a mix in an instant. Number 5. This one is particularly important to heavy music, the 10K roll-off on rhythm guitars. And I know this is pretty elementary, but what people don't mention is how much clearer your leads sound when you leave this area open. It adds so much more bite and removes that fizz on the top. Take a listen. All of these EQ moves can be detrimental to your growth as a mixer in the songs that you're mixing. Now, your clients will love you and your ears will thank you. Let's go over this one more time. 700 hertz, 4K, ghost frequencies, 300 hertz, and the 10K roll-off. By having these moves under your belt, you can make quicker and smarter EQ decisions when mixing. And remember, these numbers are not exact. It can be 100 hertz above or below, but you have the general idea now at the very least. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time. And tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, I am out of here. Mic drop. Except as engineers we know, I wouldn't really drop this thing because that'd get really expensive. Even if it is a piece of sure. Later.